I loved being a stay-at-home mom. I loved being a homeschooling mom, but I also loved when I was teaching all the children that I was around. And I'm like you, we do have the word, and that's truly all we need. But yet sometimes I just feel like we need a few sparks of ideas. I know I enjoyed getting other ideas from other people. So I just love, the subtitle of my book is Turning Little Moments into Lasting Memories. My favorite thing is, it doesn't have to be monumental to be momentous. It can be just some of the smallest things that will make the biggest impact on our children. To help me launch my book, I've done on my Facebook page, I've gotten some friends to do short videos of something that a way they showed love to their children. And I didn't give them a whole lot of directions, but almost every one of them, it was a real small moment. It wasn't a huge vacation. It was a small moment that made the biggest impact on their children.
What does that say, do you think, with respect to the small moments? Because I think when you mentioned family vacations or large gifts or other momentous occasions or whatever, what's the significance of kind of building in to the parenting journey just some small but meaningful moments along the way?
And I think a lot of that just is being intentional. We're so busy these days, and so I always try to say, to be intentional, but yet at the same time, I also tell parents, I said, if you get to the end of the day and you think, we didn't really do anything fun today. It was all I could do to get the food on the table and get everybody dressed and run this one errand or two, and especially now with COVID. And you get to the end of the day and you think, well, gee, we didn't really do anything fun. I tell parents, give yourself grace. There's always tomorrow. But I do, because parenting is such hard work, but I do encourage, take advantage of those little moments. One base that my husband was military, so one of the bases that we lived on, we had a little bit of a walk to the mailbox. And I would take along my little toddlers, and one day we might hop to the mailbox. The next day we jumped. The next day, it was just something different to do with the kids, and it's just that they remembered that. I could have put them on my hip and walked all the way to the mailbox, but we had so much fun doing those kinds of things because I'd have one or two kids with me at the time. And just those little things. When I needed to do the dishes, I would put a chair next to me and let the two girls stand and play in the bubbles on one side of the sink on the stool. Just being intentional and trying to find those moments that are going to build that bond, solidify that family bond.
Julie Lavender joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio. It is Faith Radio Meeting House Media Central at the Winter 2021 Christian Product Expo in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, you've written this book, 365 Ways to Love Your Child, Turning Little Moments into Lasting Memories. You and your husband have 4 children.
4 children.
You homeschooled, as I mentioned earlier, for 25 years or so. Well, I guess those who have been homeschooling are welcoming in a fresh group of people who are homeschooling. In fact, just about a year ago from the time we're talking in mid-February, we were receiving the word that lockdowns were beginning as a result of the coronavirus. And so the schools closed. Students went virtual to a certain degree. You had parents that essentially were at home with their kids and they were helping them along. So you really had the phenomenon as of last year where more and more kids are being homeschooled by their parents. What do you think with respect to these principles that you talk about in the book, 365 Ways to Love Your Child, might be helpful to those new homeschool families?
Well, so many of them were thrust into it quickly. It was a more long-time prayerful decision with me as well as a lot of people. But, when you're thrust into it all of a sudden you've got all this curriculum to get done with your kids, then sometimes you can just get so involved teaching the kids and making sure you get everything done because you want to check off all those boxes and do everything you're supposed to do to educate them. Then I think it's even more important to pull back